Why most Americans never become millionaires. Imagine two people, Mark and Sarah. Both graduate from the same college, land the exact same entry-level corporate job, and earn an identical starting salary of $60,000 a year. They live in the same city, face the same high rent, and pay the same price for a gallon of milk. Fast forward 30 years. Mark is 55 years old. He has a beautiful home, but he also has a massive mortgage, a hefty car loan, less than $5,000 in his savings account, and he is absolutely terrified of losing his job because he lives paycheck to paycheck. Sarah, at the exact same age, quietly signs the paperwork to retire early. Her net worth just crossed $1.5 million. She has no debt. Her investments generate more passive income than her old salary, and she hasn't stressed about a bill in a decade. What happened here? Was it luck? Did Sarah win the lottery? Did she secretly get a massive inheritance? Not at all. In fact, according to the largest study of millionaires ever conducted, a staggering 79% of millionaires received absolutely zero inheritance. Most of them didn't build wealth because they earned extraordinary incomes, went to elite schools, or found a magical shortcut. They became wealthy because they developed financial habits that most people actively ignore. Today, we are going to uncover the brutal realities of the American financial system and the 7 biggest reasons why most hardworking people never become millionaires. And more importantly, the exact shifts you can make starting today to ensure you end up like Sarah, not Mark. Some of these underlying psychological traps might surprise you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. VHEBISLIE Abut Wielch. Most people spend their entire lives believing one fundamental lie. If I just made more money, all my financial problems would disappear and I'd finally be rich. It sounds incredibly logical. If you're struggling to pay rent at $40,000 a year, it seems obvious that making $100,000 would fix everything. But history, data, and human psychology prove that this is a massive illusion. Every single year, thousands of people earning 6-figure salaries, doctors, lawyers, high-tech engineers, still live paycheck to paycheck. Look at professional athletes. A shocking 78% of NFL players face bankruptcy or severe financial distress within just 2 years of retirement. Look at lottery winners. Studies show that nearly 1/3 of them go completely broke within a few years of hitting a multi-million-dollar jackpot. Why does this happen? Because income and wealth are two completely different things. Income is how much money you pull into your life. Wealth is how much of that money you actually keep, protect, and grow. Think about it this way. If someone earns $50,000 per year but possesses the discipline to automate and save 20% of their income, they are actively building wealth. Now imagine a corporate executive who pulls in $250,000 a year but spends $251,000 a year on a luxury lifestyle, country club memberships, and high-end leases. The executive is actually poorer than the person making $50,000 because their net worth is actively shrinking. Making money is just step one. Keeping and growing that money is where millionaires are made. Unfortunately, the modern economic system is perfectly designed to make sure you spend it the second you get it. Chapter 2. VHEPAITRAP. Let's talk about what the average person does the absolute moment their direct deposit hits their bank account on Friday morning. First, the fixed expenses come out, rent or the mortgage, the car payment, the utility bills. Next comes the lifestyle clearing. The grocery haul, a weekend dinner out with friends, updating a few streaming subscriptions, and buying a couple of items that have been sitting in an online shopping cart all week. Finally, after a week or two of living life, they open their banking app, look at the remaining balance, and think, okay, whatever is left over at the end of the month, I'll put that into my savings or investment account. The problem? There is almost never anything left over. The money simply evaporates into a million small, unnoticed transactions. Millionaires do not operate this way. They completely reverse the entire sequence through a concept known as paying yourself first. When a millionaire gets paid, the very first transaction isn't to the landlord, the car dealership, or the clothing brand. It is to their own future. Before they pay a single bill or buy a single coffee, a predetermined percentage of their income, whether it's 10%, 20%, or 30%, is automatically transferred directly into an investment account, index funds, or retirement vehicles. They treat their future self as their most important monthly bill. Then, and only then, do they aggressively live off whatever remains. If there isn't enough money left over for luxury dining, they adjust their dining, not their investing. This simple, mechanical shift completely removes human willpower from the equation. Over a 20 or 30-year career, this single habit builds an automated wealth engine that is virtually impossible to stop. Chapter 3. The silent killer, lifestyle and inflation. Imagine you've been working incredibly hard at your job for 2 years, and your boss calls you into the office to give you a well-deserved $10,000 a year raise. You feel an instant rush of excitement. You worked for this. You earned it. You deserve to celebrate. But then, a subtle psychological shift occurs. Now that your monthly income has jumped, you start eyeing a slightly newer car with better tech. You decide it's finally time to move out of your starter apartment and into a luxury complex with a pool. You upgrade your phone to the latest Pro model, begin eating at slightly nicer restaurants, and book a more expensive vacation. Within 3 to 6 months, a terrifying reality sets in. Even though you are making significantly more money than you did last year, you feel just as financially stressed, trapped, and restricted as you did before the raise. This is the psychological phenomenon known as lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. It is the ultimate anchor that keeps the middle class permanently stuck. Human beings have an incredible ability to normalize luxury. What used to be a special treat quickly becomes a daily necessity. If your expenses rise at the exact same rate as your income, you will never, ever get ahead, no matter how many promotions you secure. Millionaires don't completely deny themselves the joys of a raise, but they handle it with extreme strategy. If they get a $500 monthly raise, they might allocate $100 to enjoy today, but they instantly route the remaining $400 straight into their investment portfolio before they ever have the chance to get used to seeing it in their checking account. They use their increased income to buy assets that make them free, rather than liabilities that keep them working. Chapter 4. The tragic COF waiting. If you ask the average person in their 20s or early 30s why they aren't actively investing in the stock market or building a wealth portfolio, you will almost always hear a variation of the same excuses. I'll start investing when I finally pay off all my student loans. I'll start when my income doubles. The market looks volatile right now. I'm waiting for things to settle down. The tragic mistake here is failing to understand that in the world of wealth creation, time is infinitely more valuable than the amount of money you actually invest. Let's look at a math example that perfectly illustrates this. Investor A starts investing at age 25. They invest just $300 a month into a diversified index fund yielding an average 8% annual return. They stop contributing completely at age 35 and never add another dollar for the rest of their life. They let that money sit and compound until age 65. Investor B waits until age 35 to get started. Realizing they are behind, they double their efforts and invest $300 a month every single month for 30 straight years until they turn 65. Who ends up with more money? Even though Investor B invested for 3 times as long and put in vastly more of their own cash, Investor A wins by a landslide. Investor A finishes with roughly $610,000, while Investor B finishes with around $450,000. This is the magic of compound interest. It acts like a snowball rolling down a mountain. At the top, the gains look small and insignificant. But over decades, the snowball gathers mass, and by the end, it grows exponentially. Every single year you sit on the sidelines waiting for the perfect time to start is a year of compounding you can never buy back. The cost of waiting is completely invisible in the short term, but it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run. Chapter 5. Chasing FAST MONEY Marige 7 o'clock, 8:30. We live in a culture obsessed with speed and instant gratification. Social media algorithms constantly feed us videos of young creators claiming they made a fortune overnight, trading highly speculative cryptocurrencies, flipping viral digital assets, or using secret options trading strategies. We are constantly bombarded with promises of easy passive income, effortless side hustles, and get-rich-quick loopholes. Because of this, millions of people completely ignore traditional, proven investing methods because they seem too slow or boring. Instead, they take their hard-earned savings and throw it at highly speculative, volatile, and risky trends, hoping to strike it rich. And what happens? The vast majority of them lose absolutely everything. Real, sustainable wealth building is remarkably unsexy.